Now, this isn't the sort of video I do very often. I leave the hot topics in game and culture to far smarter people than myself, but in this case, I really wanted to chime in with my 2 cents on the situation. One, because I feel like Persona 5 is likely going to be my game of the year. I'm totally in love with it, and so the way Atlus is treating this, and treating its fan base, completely baffles me. And 2, as a content creator, I am fed up of publishers and developers abusing YouTube's broken systems with false claims of copyright infringement, which is attempting to squash criticism and, frankly, more broadly, free speech. Before getting into the controversy, I should say that I'm a huge Persona fan. I bloody love this series. To me, it epitomises perfection in the RPG genre. You only have to hop on over to Metacritic to see just how insanely popular and well received the game is, and the entire series in general, to be honest. And that is why at its core, it's so ridiculous and utterly bewildering that Atlus would take the stance that they are for the creation of content based on their game. For anyone who hasn't seen the news that I'm referring to, I'll post a link in the description to the original article, but the important parts of it to take away from are the following bullet points, and these are direct quotes from the article. You can post however many additional videos you'd like, but please limit each of these to be at most 90 minutes long. No major story spoilers, and I'll leave that up to your good judgment. If you need some guidelines, avoid showing/spoiling the ending segment of the first 3 palaces. While you can show initial interactions with Yusuke, avoid his awakening scene and the whole deal about the painting. Also, don't post anything about the certain student investigator. I know I mentioned not showing the end of each palace, but you can grab footage from the Kamoshida boss fight. However, don't capture video of the other major boss fights. Must not focus solely on cutscenes/animated scenes, should prominently feature dungeon crawling/spending time in Tokyo. You can post straight gameplay or have commentary. And this is the most interesting part, the streaming content. This is a direct quote again from the article. This being a Japanese title with single playthrough story means our masters in Japan are very wary about it. Sharing is currently blocked through the native PS4 UI. However, if you do plan on streaming, video guidelines above apply except length. If you decide to stream past 7.7, and this bit is in capitals, I should point out, I highly recommend not doing this. You have been warned. You do so at the risk of being issued a content ID claim, or worse, a channel strike/account suspension. End quote. So yeah, quite a lot to talk about there. Being wary of spoilers is understandable to an extent. I appreciate that such a story-heavy game, Atlus don't want the story spoiled for people, as they believe people won't then go out and purchase the game for themselves, and they want their experience to be completely fresh. But I'm sorry to break it to you though, that's not how modern gaming culture works. I don't think it's unfair to say that a lot of Japanese publishers are behind the times in terms of how people in the West actually consume their gaming content, with Let's Plays and Twitch streams consistently getting more and more views. I'm far from fond of the term, but there's a reason that a lot of companies are referring to YouTubers and streamers as influencers now. It's because we have the power to influence people's purchasing decisions. So why is it that Atlus are incapable of looking at a publisher like Devolver Digital, for instance, who take the stance of, here's our games, have fun with them, create whatever content you want for them, we will let the games stand upon their own merit, and if you enjoy them, maybe you'll want to go out and buy it. And I guess that's my point. Persona 5 is currently sitting at 94 on Metacritic. And like I said at the start of the video, the game is amazing and it is able to stand upon its own merit without the need of protection from the publisher, who are throwing their weight around whilst being completely out of touch and frankly abusive towards their fan base. Adversely, the funny thing to come out of all this, I think, is that most streamers are saying a big FU to the whole thing by playing the game anyway, regardless of what Atlus are saying. The way the entire situation has been handled has quite rightly rubbed up a lot of people the wrong way, and many people are just protesting against it. It's not such a happy story for YouTubers though. I'm sure you're all aware of the current state that YouTube is in, with advertisers pulling out in droves from the platform in case they get associated with something they don't like. And like a lot of tubers, especially the smaller channels, are on the ropes a bit with how they make their money. You only have to look at Digital Homicide's laughable self-destruction to see how, when push comes to shove, threatening takedown strikes and content ID claims will ultimately come to nothing. But the fact is that Atlus haven't been idle in their threats, and there are already multiple cases of videos being removed or claimed, and it's because of YouTube's 3 strikes and you're out policy, regardless of whether the claims are legitimate or not. And people are potentially at risk of losing their channels over a situation like this, and that's why it's no small thing. It's disgusting behaviour, and as I said, I don't usually cover content like this, but I am genuinely sick of companies throwing around threats like this, and they have no right to do it. I mean, it's not like fair use is actually something protected by law, right? The perplexing thing to me, honestly, is why they'd even bothered doing this in the first place. It shows just how out of touch they are that they haven't looked at Nintendo and other high-profile cases with asset flippers and this kind of thing to know that these kind of stories never ever reflect well on the company who are doing it. The game is awesome, and it was always going to sell well being part of a series like Persona. So people who are into these kind of games were always going to play it regardless of whether there are videos out there that show someone beating the final boss. I truly hope they pull their collective heads out of their asses and remove all the claims on content and bloody apologise. Hopefully the droves of videos discussing this, the op-eds and most of the major gaming news outlets and angry message boards should be evidence enough that this shit is ridiculous and it needs to stop. I'm risking it myself by showing some basic gameplay behind this video, but I won't be oppressed and fight the power and all that. Ultimately, I hope this truly phenomenal game doesn't get overshadowed by the poor business decisions and treatment of the people who actively try and support it. But at the end of the day, that's down to Atlus.